Welcome to another episode of my Motortown playthrough. Today we are going to do some coal deliveries on the new update. And yeah, it's going to be likely a long episode, a chatty one. And yeah, I hope you guys are here for it because I am. So let's go and grab some coal. I would like to do two deliveries today. One will be just to the coal storage. So the stockpile thing there. Got all the stuff and we are ready to go. Gotta say it's much more convenient being up here and just having the campy right next to the parking lot. Before this update, obviously the parking lot wasn't there and you had to actually make your way up here with your delivery vehicle. It worked out pretty well. I kinda liked it in the past, but with everything now being part of the supply chain, yeah, I think it makes sense that we have a parking lot here. So that's all good, and yeah, just I don't know. As the game develops, some things might actually need to be adjusted, and I'm glad that they did this over here. So yeah, today I would actually like to talk a bit more about the new update, my opinions on it, and stuff like that. I've given some of my opinions on the matter on the update video itself, which honestly I was almost about to re-record the entire thing. I felt like it was a bit too long, got a bit rambly, but I tried to keep on track and God, I didn't want to rip off the light attachments from the uh, what was the car again, the BMW lookalike. I could have done that, but yeah, no, I think I would rather keep it as is. And if I went for another take, I don't know if I could have done it much better. Stuff like the attachments, that just... It's such a big deal for that entire system that I felt the need to really spend some time with it. Show it off properly. Not just say, hey, we changed something. I felt like I really needed to show it off in order to make sure you get just how amazing it is right now. But yeah, overall, since I'm back on the new PC again, I had about a week to actually try out the update. Back on the old one, for some reason, the download wouldn't work, and ach, Jesus Christ, hit a small rock there. That's going to slow me down. This thing is a trooper. I got 4 of them. Did I mention that already? 3 of them for company AI and the one that I'm driving right here. It's so good. Um, but yeah, anyways, the whole thing is just... I'm glad it worked out in the end. Honestly, I wasn't even expecting the update to come out anytime soon. I wouldn't have been surprised if it came out a week ago because it felt like a lot of things were wrapped up at that point. But then, yeah, they just started going into other different kind of things that needed to be tested. So yeah, in the end it worked out, but it felt like another can of worms was opened up and I wasn't sure when they were ready to wrap that one up. But here we are, completely to my surprise. Otherwise, I would have recorded some post-race commentary for the last 2 events today. I still have one to get through that I recorded on my old PC. I got the footage transferred over to the new one. And then last weekend there was another racing event. We might talk a bit more about that in a moment. Because there was actually something quite fun going on. But yeah. Instead we are doing this now, which has been kind of what I've been, Jesus Christ, dealing with for a while now. Doing deliveries, trying to fill up the steel mill and just testing out several different things here. So yeah, right now I'm basically playing it safe with this entire delivery. I think you can theoretically, if you got a really amazing tune, even use this truck to do some of the lighter iron ore deliveries. Think I heard some other people do that. I've done a few with my Jimusi semi and it's been rough. Like the range from the iron ore, it's it's massive. Some of the loads can be twice the weight as the others, and yeah, I made a suggestion a while ago, or a few days I mean, about maybe splitting that up so that at the mine itself you have a choice between going for a heavy load, a mid-weight one and a light one. So different densities just presented separately from each other. Because depending on what the mine has available at the time, the vehicle you go up there with, you might not be able to actually make the trip with it. And especially if they did an adjustment to the steel mill itself, where if you deliver something more heavy, not only you get more money, but also maybe you get more actual iron ore out of it in order to produce stuff. I think at that point you could really make it worthwhile going even in with something like the Jimusi dump. And when I say getting more out of it, what I mean is, to my understanding, the iron ore as it is right now, it's not even just raw, it's also very much littered with other things in there. And some of these impurities, some of the maybe other types of rocks in there are what potentially makes it lighter. But also in the end, if you want to turn the iron ore into steel, you kinda need to get rid of this stuff. So my assumption is that the higher density loads would have more actual iron ore in it, since that's a very, very heavy element. But yeah, I don't know. So my idea would be that if you have something that weighs twice as much as the other one, you should effectively get twice as much purified iron out of it. Or something to that extent. And that would also allow you to just pick and choose your difficulty level. But I will have to see if that gets picked up or not. But yeah, the density range is one of the big things with the update, because everything else, while stuff like limestone and I think the sand has some variation, it's far, far less than this. And given that it's also in very rough terrain, it's a challenge, that's for sure. And speaking of challenge, one of the few things that I really don't agree with when it comes to the entire thing here is that they put both mines on the same road. We need to use a lot of coal and iron ore in order to get the steel products from the steel mill. And it's supposed to become more of a longer chain, so there should be other factories with the next few updates that will rely on those products as supplies. So yeah, you are going to run this stuff quite often. And I think for that it's kind of annoying that both of these goods, both the iron ore and the coal, basically give you the same experience, apart from maybe one time you are using a slightly heavier truck than the other. I think there's something more unique to be done if you put the coal mine into a different location. And yeah, it should be the coal mine that's relocated, as I mentioned before, because after all, the entire run was made initially with 15-ton loads in mind. Before the density change made coal so much lighter, and also the amount each vehicle would carry was reduced, so we went from 15 tons to 6 tons with coal. And yeah, I think the iron ore starts somewhere at 16 tons. I've done a 25-ton delivery a while ago. It works. It's not impossible, but it surely is a lot more difficult. Same vehicle and all. Shimusi semi and dump trailer. So I'm a little bit scared to touch that, but thankfully there's also the DASA imports, which I'm really happy about because, well, I'm going to be relying on that for the most part. I'm not too sure how it's going to work out for servers where, due to performance and other stuff, they do not want company vehicles. You really need a few dedicated haulers in order to get all of that up and working. And yeah, right now, at least in my opinion, the amount of iron ore and especially coal that you need at the steel mill is way too high. First up, just for the iron ore, I know once again impurities and everything, blah blah blah. I did the math. For the 14-ton coil, I think you need like 20 kiloliters of iron ore. And even at low density of 1.6 tons per cubic, or no, kiloliter I mean, basically it amounts to 32 tons of iron ore delivered for 14 tons of coal produced. Of course, once again, impurities, other stuff that's in there that needs to be removed, and obviously means that effectively, realistically, the stuff would be lighter in the end. Also, there is always going to be a bit of waste, so yeah. But for the sake of the gameplay, especially when it comes to just trying to experience the new heavy cargo, which is way heavier than whatever else we have in the game right now, and being able to use a forklift and all that kind of stuff, it needs to be more accessible. I mean, I know when it comes to some of the stuff, I try to justify my opinions and everything, but the thing is, while I try to speak with certainty about the things that I'm pretty certain about, I don't always hold a strong opinion of everything that I'm saying, so some of the stuff might not be that critical, and I see it more as a nitpick. So, yeah, I don't mind if those things are not addressed. But when it comes to how much stuff the Steel Mill is using right now, and that being too high, yeah, that's something that I feel strongly about. It's a grind. And too much of it, in my opinion. Okay, let's get the dump back up here, because now we are going to do another coal delivery, but we are going to take a shortcut. Or even multiple shortcuts. This is another thing that I actually need to see happen. And something that I really wish they did before putting this update out. Let's take a quick look at the map here, because, well, it's brand new with the steel mill. And you may not be aware of this, but it's down here in the southeast region of OG. Or more like mid-east, whatever. The thing is, we still have this dirt road right here with its shortcut and everything. We also have the coastal road which got started. It's pretty obvious to me that eventually they will join up somewhere over here and they should be reconnecting to this road or this one at some point. And at that point, it should also have an influence on how much money you make from these deliveries, because that can maybe cut off a bit of your cost, at least if you go from over here all the way around here instead of having to go up to Baiyang and then down south again from that point. And yeah, I think people will likely not be too pleased once that happens, because it's going to cut into the profits of this very demanding job. I think it's going to help making it a bit more balanced. But yeah, we'll have to see about that. The point is, yeah, it's going to be a kind of a change to the payout. But it's also going to change the route that people are using, which I'm kind of looking forward to, because we have been stuck on the same types of roads for way too long. But beyond that, another thing you need to know about this entire area here. First up, it has some roads prepared. They are not paved yet, but there is definitely some indentations in the terrain as preparations for future development. As if they've taken out the stuff to put down the foundation. And besides that, even in areas where that is not the case, they are easy to get through. So what we are going to do now with the second load is, first up I'm going to follow this path, of course, until we reach the intersection with that little construction site. This time around I'm going to turn left, so that's going to be the path that leads to the Gwangjin village. And I'll be taking down the shortcut to reach the sawmill. And from that point on, I'm just going to cut straight across the terrain and go from there. And yeah, I really wish they just put in the road already, so that this is less of an exploit and more of an intended route. Yeah, we gotta see how it works out in the long run. So let's talk about the Formula SCM for a moment, since that's also been updated. So basically that's the third update to the production chain there. Or the second one. This is the third version, really. The first one was when it was introduced, you have to, I mean, there were maybe a few minor updates with the amount of stuff you needed and that kind of deal. But overall, the initial deal was you need pallets, you need containers, and you need small boxes. Then came the supermarket update with the reworked town bonuses and reworked warehouses. It didn't really change anything about the race car factory directly. However, while you still needed pallets, containers and small boxes, the small boxes stopped spawning for the most part. So yeah, they still pop up here and there, but it's best that you run a company vehicle to just go from one to the other and hopefully eventually pick up some. Because on your own you are likely going to miss it, because it's really hard to find and they are likely not even going to stick around for long enough for you to just rotate between all the places. And yeah, the third state is what we have right now, or this is more of a transition state where you can use either the small boxes plus the other two resources, or instead of those boxes you get to use a steel coil. I'm a bit mixed on this. First up, realistically, it makes no sense at all. I get into that in a moment. And gameplay wise, which is usually what I care more about, it does and doesn't make sense at the same time. I think on principle, having to produce the items that you are using for that factory is super cool. I love that concept, it's amazing. The thing that I don't like, steel coils are hard to produce. You need to get 2 loads of coal with this truck down to the steel mill. If you use the dumpy or the Musi semi dump trailer, blah blah blah, that's 3 trips. You're still going to need at least 2 trips with the iron ore as well. And then to top it all off, another trip for the limestone. Limestone is going to last a bit longer, but yeah, there is definitely a lot of work involved and it's heavy work. So while you could easily get a truck to deliver the pallets, Jesus Christ, the pallets, the small boxes, and rent out a semi-cab and get yourself some containers delivered, whatever, that's easy. That's something that you can do quite quickly if you get all the stuff to spawn, but it's not really requiring you to do much in terms of getting levers and equipment. This thing does, even if you just go to Dessa Harbor and import all the stuff, it's still not going to be a quick job. And the coils, once again, they weigh 14 tons, which is another huge thing to deal with. So, yeah, I feel like this idea, while amazing in some sense, it makes the Formula SCM much harder to get. And this is something that I'm a bit mixed on. Partially because last weekend I got an event put together, racing event on the TWL server, and that included a lot of Formula SCMs. And while it's already tough enough for people to get the vehicle to join in, it's getting even more tougher once steel coils are a fixed requirement and there's no other way to do this. So yeah, I'm a bit mixed on that whole thing for that entire reason. I was almost going to suggest using maybe plastic pellets in the whole factory thing. I think that would also be kind of fun for the same reason as the steel coils are, with just something that you put time into to produce. Once again, that would make it even harder to get a Formula SCM produced. Although I think oil might still be a bit more accessible than the coal and all of that. But yeah, as it is right now, I kinda like it for some reason and I dislike it for other reasons. And the point about this whole thing not making sense at all with steel coils being used in the Formula SCM, it's a super lightweight vehicle. I think the chassis is less than half a ton and it maybe gets a bit heavier once you install the wheels and the engine and all of that. So it might be slightly more than 500 kilograms. Where in all that do you put a 14-ton steel coil? Okay, I may have screwed myself here. I don't think we are going to get the grip that we need. This is something that I need to do with with momentum, and I didn't get enough. So let's try rolling backwards and hope that I can catch the dirt again above the mud. This is really bit of a problem once you get stuck in here. Maybe I can just roll back down and get a bit more speed. Oh, this might actually be enough. Come on. Yeah. That could have been a much bigger problem. This thing doesn't have a winch or anything, so gotta be careful. I think if it had a winch, it would be pretty much unstoppable. Just going up a mountain like a Skyrim horse. But yeah, the reason why I don't think steel coils make sense on a realism level is, at best, that car would be using a steel tube frame. And while you can theoretically get steel tubes that are rolled from sheet metal and just welded together at the ends once those are back together, some of the steel tubes are produced like this. I'm not going to deny it, but I'm going to claim that a little workshop like that wouldn't have the tools to do so. This is definitely something that you get from another company who specializes in getting the stuff and therefore can make it much cheaper because they are doing that all the time. If the vehicle would even be using a steel tube to begin with, I'm not entirely sure. I don't really know the ins and outs of vehicle building to that degree. There are a few channels that I watch occasionally about that kind of stuff, like I think one of them is Stansworks, building on or working on a custom Ferrari F40 chassis and trying to turn a few body panels into a full-on race car, which is really fascinating to watch. I can highly recommend that series. But yeah, you wouldn't really be using the steel sheets for that. And when it comes to the body itself, I mean, it's supposed to be lightweight. At worst, I would be using aluminium. Most likely either carbon fiber or glass fiber reinforced something, I don't know what it's called. It's some sort of resin stuff. But yeah, aluminium would be the heaviest one and steel would definitely be out of the question for something like that. And if you just want to look a bit deeper into it, 500, 600 kilogram lightweight vehicle and a 14-ton steel coil. Yeah, even with a few cutoffs here and there, which definitely would have some waste, and you could even, I think, justifiably get to like 40% of stuff being thrown away. But you're never going to use up a 14-ton coil on a single vehicle like that. Unless you're really throwing away the majority of the material. But yeah, we are going to see where it ends up. I've already made a suggestion a while ago that maybe there should be a way for the game to process stuff in smaller doses than a full unit. So maybe once you deliver a full coil, it would be yeah, it would be split into 14ths of the ton. Okay, this might be a problem here. Yeah, I don't think this is made to move up this hill. Yeah, I'm not even able to really slow down with the brake. Okay, so we have to go around. No problem, unless they fix it. Yeah, this looks fine. So what we can do right here is just go over onto this side. Oh god, maybe not ram into the rock, that might throw me off the cliff. I wanna go down there in a more controlled way if I can. Yeah, as I said, this thing is just a beast. We don't need winches where we are going. Although honestly, if I had a winch, I would have likely stayed on the path. But as it is, that's really the only way to do this. Also, yeah, this is going to be a long episode. Strap in. So, yeah, anyways. The whole thing is kinda cool while also not really making sense at the same time. And being very restrictive on when you can get the vehicle. Which kinda gets me to the next point. First up, trying to do a wall ride here, take as much speed as I can over the hill. I swear, sometimes it works. Or did I do this with the Limusi Semi? That might also be the case. I'm going to try this again, it was not a good run-up. So yeah, we had a Formula SCM event on the weekend, actually with 2 sessions. One specifically for the Americans on their regular time, the other one more for Europeans. And I saw that from the first session, some people actually got extra Formula SCMs and gave it out to others. And I decided, since I'm the event planner who put that entire thing together, maybe I should help make it more accessible for others. Let's try and get out of here. So what I ended up doing is I spent some time at the race car factory here and tried to get a few of the cars produced. I'm now actually the proud owner of 5 Formula SCMs. By still only being able to drive one of them myself, but hey, it was fun getting more of them, trying to get them all just customized. I put together a few liveries and it's cool, it's fun, and I ended up giving out 3 of them to other people. To be clear, that was my maximum. Okay, this is looking a bit better. Come on! I don't know if I should have downshifted, but maybe we can make this. It's digging in. Digging in further. Almost. I don't know if I skipped this the last time around. There might be a way to bypass this part as well. I know what, let's just reset again. I'm not going to get out of here. This is actually pretty nice. I can just maybe go a tiny bit further back. But yeah, I got the cars, I put all the same tunings on them, and then just put on some custom liveries and gave it out to other people, and it was fun. The other guys actually did better with my cars than I did myself, so that's neat. To be honest, I was a bit distracted at the time. It was other stuff going on, so yeah. Still, fun racing. Some of the better races that I had in a while, and yeah, lots of fun. Looking forward to doing this stuff again, because I feel like, especially with the 50% spring rate stuff that we have right now, it's become a bit better when it comes to driving the Formula SCM. Or let's just boop. Slight radiator damage, nothing too crazy. Here we go. But yeah, this has been quite fun. Love the event. And I'm looking forward to doing more of the stuff. And it was also pretty fun lending out the vehicle to other people. The only problem was I might have messed up something. Overall, the cars had my tune, for better or worse, but I basically had two tunes. The first one was with final drive ratio specifically for Anson Raceway, which also worked out pretty well for the next track since that was even slower in top speed. But the one after the last race, that's actually a really long track, so I had another final drive ratio for just that one. So that was longer, but it was very significantly worse in terms of acceleration for the car. And for some reason, two of the cars that I prepared already had the long final drive ratio in, and that wasn't really what I had planned. The people did well anyway, so yeah. Maybe I should transition from a race driver in the events to just planning them out and then making some team management stuff. I have the funds to give people the race cars, but maybe I shouldn't drive them myself. I'm not really good at that. Anyways, thankfully we finally made it out of the area, and we are now just going to go cross country until we hit the delivery point. Again, in my opinion, the solution here that they should be going for is to just finally add in the road. I get that it's likely not just a quick fix, despite there being some prepared road areas already, and I'm already driving on one, to be clear. I think if I look on the map, yeah, you can see there's definitely something going on here. This is supposed to be a left-hand turn like that. Depending on what they have planned for the area, there might still be a lot of other changes around here. I think even Gwangjin itself started out with similar rolling hills and that kind of stuff, and it's now completely different. So if they made this a quick addition, it would likely be one that's temporary and would need to be reworked later down the line, so I get why they wouldn't want that. But we'll have to see about it. I'm also not sure what that light is ahead there is. Oh, that might just be the moon. Pretty small, isn't it? But yeah, we're gonna have to see about that. I think for balancing and also just making this just a viable and intended route, I think we should really get the roads in here. In the long run, I don't see how they would not do that. But we'll have to find out one day. Okay, let's see. And yeah, I also changed my light setting for the game. There's the whole moonlight brightness thing, and I turned it up to 200%. That was another little side effect of the Formula SCM event. Once I get around to that, you'll see that all the races are at least partially in the dark. It was just a weird thing that worked out that way because, well, we started a race at some point after getting the lobby together. Then we went from the first location to the second one, and that took enough time for it to get dark again. And then kind of the same thing going on for the third race, so what can you do? I just turned on or turned up the moonlight brightness so that at night I can still see, because the second race for me was pitch dark. Oh, no. No. We're not doing any of this here. No falling over. Let's just put the stuff where it needs to be in the storage, and then that's going to be the end of the episode here. Whew, we made it. So let's get in here. Another 70 kiloliters delivered for about 200k. Yeah, that's actually a really nice number. 202,222. Neat. But yeah, that's how you deliver stuff to the steel mill. To be clear, you can also do a similar shortcut if you don't go down here. You just go out the regular way, which should be easier than the coal road itself. But then you can also do a similar cut through here, and it works out all the same in the end. So yeah, I guess next time we could be maybe going for a coil delivery. I've actually never done them. I've played around with the forklift for a bit. I've also suggested how to handle the forklift controls on controller, the key binding and all of that, which made it into this version actually. I was quite surprised about that because it was a really it was on short notice. But yeah, happy about that, and yeah, maybe we can do something with this the next time around. I might have to think about this some more because I don't want this to be like with my other video where I just go and put this onto a bongo. That was kind of a stupid move. But I just wanted to show it off so it was okay for that. Never had the incline to deliver it. But for the next time we should be doing this properly. Until then, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Till next time, bye bye.